Alright, here's my audience. Anian, Sheena,
Hi.
Kelly, Melissa, and Elaine. So, you're gonna get introduced. Alright, active listening. Alright, active listening is a participant in the act of communication through responses specific to the information received. Basically, you gotta respond properly to what the person's saying to you. Okay? Whether it's with a client, whether it's with a debtor especially, you guys gotta respond properly, otherwise they're gonna feel like you're not listening to them. Okay? According to the author of Active Listening, Introducing Skills for Understanding, there are a few things you need to remember about active listening. You need to remember what you're listening to. Okay, what's the purpose of your call, basically? What you're listening for, and if you don't know, you need to ask. Okay? Active listening results in successful communications. Alright? So you're with a debtor on the phone, and they're telling you about their medical problems, because why they went to the doctor, and why they shouldn't pay, and why they just don't owe the bill. Or same thing. Same thing in client service. You're talking to these people, debtor calls in on client service, and same excuses. Well, if you don't respond properly to them, what happens? You get them frustrated, right? They start getting angry because you're not paying attention to them. Okay? So, if you don't pay attention to them, they might hang up on you. They might completely go off on you. You might not get any money, which results in no yards for your game, right? Now, according to Richard Salem, the author of Empathetic Listening, active listening can provide various benefits. All right, it builds trust. So now the person's more willing to pay you because you're listening to them. Okay? It reduces tension. You let them vent. If you sit there and listen to them, and yes, I understand what you're saying, yeah, that sounds horrible, you're being empathetic, not sympathetic, it reduces the tension. It's more likely that you'll get money because they're much more calm. Okay? And it creates a safe environment to a certain extent. It's a win-win resolution. You listen, you get details from these people, you get financial information from these people, and then they get to vent without knowing that they gave you all this information. Okay? Like I said, not paying attention causes stress. Alright? That's the big thing here. If you're sitting here talking to your neighbor, when you're supposed to be listening to the person, and then you respond with something completely off the wall, that person's going to be just, are you even paying attention to me? What are you doing? You're going to miss out on information, something that'll help you close that call. So you got to make sure you're listening. What does that person think when you're not listening to them? All right? Pretend you're talking to somebody, you're sitting across the table at a restaurant. And you're sitting there, you're talking to boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. You're talking to them, you're talking to them, you're talking to them. And they're like, what? What are you going to do? You're going to be like, are you listening to me? You're going to get mad. That's just what happens. That's what happens on the receiving end of it. And on your end, you're not listening. You're basically costing yourself money. Now, according to Jenny, which none of you guys knew besides Kelly. I know her.
Anyway, used to be our old trainer, and my old boss. She basically used to tell me that if people don't active listen, that costs money to the company. She works at Comcast now, which does all customer service, so she knows not listening to a customer may wind up with the company losing a customer, which would not be good. They're a huge company. Active listening is one of their key things for customer service especially. Okay? Now, it could cost you your job. Okay? If you think about it, your boss tells you to do something and you don't do it, that could be assumed as insubordination. That's bad. It could cost you a payment. You're not listening to these people. They say forget it. They hang up on you. They call back and somebody else gets the payment from them. It could cost you a lot of things. It costs you your bonus. It costs you prizes in the contest. It costs you various things. Now, what happens if you stray off? What do? If you're like, oh my gosh, I just realized that I haven't been paying attention to this person for the last 5 minutes. What do? Well, you ask. Okay? You don't know what just happened. You need to ask. According to Satara, she listens to you guys on a daily basis. The key thing that happens when you're not listening to these people, when you're not actively engaged into the conversation, you lose a payment because you mess up an account number. You mess up a routing number. You mess up a credit card number. Something very, very simple that could be easily fixed, but if you're not listening, you're not going to get it. Okay? Now, she also said, not listening causes the debtor to repeat themselves, which causes stress. Again, it's a key thing in our industry. It's going to cause stress. Okay? So in conclusion, for active listening, you guys got to remember, if you don't know what you're listening, you need to know what you're listening to, right? You're listening to the debtor, but what type of talk-off are you going to need to use? Do you use a little bit softer? Do you need a little bit more firm? You need to know what you're listening for. Those facts that we're always looking for, you guys need to make sure what you're listening for, not get straight off into the fluff of the conversation. Okay? And then if you don't know, ask. Ask them to repeat themselves if you're not sure.